Chillin' with my Rat Pack crew, gonna get the TRAPJAW ants to eat their food. Chillin' with my Rat Pack crew, gonna get the TRAPJAW ants to feed their brood. What's up guys, Ryan from Antscapes. In today's video we've got the TRAPJAW ants update. It's been a while since I've updated these, and as I've mentioned, I'm going to be keeping all of the updates coming, but the updates will be a little bit shorter just so I can keep up with that content. I won't need to say much more than that. You've already seen those fire bars in the intro, but yeah, as always from me, peace and love. I'm out. And since the last update, this colony has done really well. I know I normally say that, but there is actually an update I need to share with you which isn't as good as I would like it to be. But anyway, in this video you'll see that the TRAPJAW ants have come on with leaps and bounds. They have literally gone from 2 workers initially when I got them around this time last year, from Wakushi as well. So if you don't know, I actually got these from Wakushi. I've been keeping my eyes on this species for a long time, and he was kind enough to let me actually get the personal colony from him that he had. But it had 2 workers and the queen. There wasn't much brood at all, and if you are curious you can go back and have a little look. But there was 2 workers in total. There was a queen there, and now I would easily say there's around 30-40 workers. You can see here that there's on screen about 7 workers coming out to get this mealworm, and yeah, they have they've sort of started to show the character now. They're getting more confident, you know. You're starting to see them a lot more, which is great, because you know, I didn't realize, and you'll see until at the end of the video, how much these ants have actually explored and nested within this whole tank without me even noticing. So here, as you can see at the moment, it's an absolute mess. I've got roots going into the water area. The floating plants, I actually increased the amount of floating plants I have due to me doing certain things in the tank, which you'll see later on. But I increased the amount of floating plants I've got. I did cut everything down there. It's got a little bit wild in my opinion. And here you can see this is the only area that I can physically feed them from without having to, you know, lean right into the tank. So I was wanting to open it up a little bit more without obviously disturbing anything. They are currently nesting in that area in the top left. If you don't know, I did use vases, so there's 5 really tall vases in here in total, making up 5 deep tunneled nest areas with lands interconnecting them or branches connecting the islands, and that's how it's always been. If you have a little look here, you can see that there's quite a few workers around, you know, in and out of these sort of bush areas. I was just about to do a water change the sponges over. The tank was getting mucky, it was getting grubby, and it was about time. It's been a year. I haven't had this filter that whole amount of time, but I've probably had the filter close to a year now. So it was about time I changed some of the sponges. I kept a lot of the biological media balls in there and didn't remove them. I didn't take any out, in fact. But what I did do is I changed over the sponges just to get that mechanical side of the filter working a little bit better, especially with me having it here where you can see it's a mess. The water was still clear, but if you do keep aquariums, you'll know the filters are always like this or end up like this. But I did just change the sponges over. This was a whole filter clean out and responge. You could see how filthy those sponges were, and the new ones are just immaculate compared to this. So every single chamber I added 2 sponges in, apart from the one near the top or the middle. I can't remember now. That's basically where I had the biomedia or the bio balls, so I didn't necessarily need to add it to that one. Or in fact, I didn't have space to add it to that one. Then it was the case of just topping that filter water back up and getting the pump running again. This does actually hold 13 litres of water itself, the pump. It is a very big pump, and I did make sure that I did buy a pump that was completely overboard for this tank, just knowing that the TRAPJAWs would dump the mud into there. So I am glad I kind of went overboard with it. This is where you can see the initial, or one of the other sort of medium vases. This one in particular was kind of also where they nested. You can see that groove around here. if you go along there, you can see the nesting that side. A little bit later on, and this side here, I noticed as I was cutting it down how many workers there was. And what they've done is they put all of the mud in between those branches and kind of built a tunnel going from that tower to the next one on the left, or the highest one, which we usually see them at feeding. So it basically means that they're exploring the whole thing there, and they've used that middle tower as well to also build tunnels and kind of have like a satellite nest. Because if I was to drop a mealworm in there, or waxworm, what I've realised now is that's predominantly where they sort of sat, but then they drag the food up to the top left. So I don't know what that means, but I hope it's something as simple as the queen's in the middle one and the top left is predominantly where the raised brood. Maybe they need different humidities. I've noticed that middle one is much more damp compared to the one on the top left. It is a smaller vase, so it could have been potentially have overwatered at one point, but it's fine for them to nest in, so I don't see it as an issue. But as I was cutting all of this down, I had workers everywhere, and I had to really bear in mind where I was cutting. So I do speed this up, and you'll see the difference is just crazy. I got some things from my propagation tub, so branches, some patches of moss. I don't actually think this will do that well. Now, there is one small error I made with this, is I cut it all down and I put this on top knowing it'd die out. However, they, as I've just mentioned, they're using these to build the tunnels within those dead branches and everything else. So what that means I needed to do quickly was plant some seeds and also get some cuttings and put it on that, so those roots can also add to it. The reason I think it'll be okay is because this will happen over time. It's not like instantly overnight the roots are going to be broken, you know, they're going to die off instantly. They will, but that'll break down over the course of a couple of weeks. So in that time, it'll help the roots go from above below, and also for them to build alternative pathways and channels going between each satellite nest. It's a lot more open now. I really do prefer this look. Here you can see that that's one of the tunnel entrances in the middle tower. We'll just call them towers. I feel like it's a lot easier. Like already mentioned, this is one of the main sort of nests that they actually use, but all of the food gets tucked to the top left. I think that is purely because of the difference in humidity and also moisture in the soil for different stages of brood. I think that's mainly what it's down to. I do, however, have a lot of mud in the water area, which I will show you, but essentially I couldn't even siphon it out because I didn't have any dechlorinator. I didn't plan. This was kind of an impromptu thing I've been needing to do for the last month, but that giant armoured fan shrimp absolutely loved all of this going in there. But the following day I had to go back in, clean that out, clean the filter again, and do the same again just to make sure it was all clean. I did also add some branches in the top section the same night I was doing all of this, and like I've said, some seeds which will sprout, and you know, hopefully all of that doesn't go too crazy like the other stuff. I have planned this a little bit better with the new plants. However, I will need to keep on top of these a lot more than I did with the previous ones, because those just kind of went crazy. But that's why I added the seeds on the moss sections where the branches were cut, purely because they are going to die off, as I mentioned, and I have added the cuttings in there and the seeds. Some of the seeds will take, not all of them, but the cuttings will take, and that will help the structural strength of where they've built the tunnels going from the middle one to the left one. I will zoom in a little bit and you get to see how many workers there actually was around the roach. It's really, really good to see. I am glad that this area is so much more open, but in a sense for me to actually feed them and see them more, I used to always feed them on the top, obviously the top left tower, and it would take them a little bit of time to come out, whereas this is pretty much instantaneously. They must be able to feel the vibration slightly as I place the food down. But that's the change in the tank. I do much prefer this. I love how that cave is kind of just built within this naturally. I didn't even cut that out. It just happened that as I was cutting the plants down, they had already built this sort of cave. And the issue I had is obviously with that is that's where they were laying loads of soil around all of the branches to create these tunnels, sort of kind of intertwining throughout the branches as well. And as I was moving them to cut them, there was loads of soil falling into the actual water section itself. They do end up dragging this off to the top left tower. And in the meantime, this fan shrimp's just going to do a little bit of spring cleaning for me and act as the best janitor I've had all year. I will be making sure that I siphon this. I do need to scrub the rocks. I do have blackbeard algae on there. For me, I was never really bothered, and still not really am, purely because I actually like how it looks on the rocks. I think it adds character and age and time, etc. I really do like it. I added more floating plants. This does encroach on the barrier slightly, so I have had to add anti-slip around the actual aquarium lids. The reason I'm not actually that bothered though is because I know they're not very good at climbing glass, so I don't think they'll be able to climb the glass and the barrier. The extra floating plants for now though are just a precaution in case they fall in. I have disturbed the tunnels, so I want to make sure that I leave them be. I will be missing it down every single day now for the next couple of weeks, although I do not think that will help, but mainly it'll help the seeds that I planted, so even if they take, then I'm happy with that. I'm just going to show you them exploring here, how they're actually using the whole setup. This is the reason I added the floating plants. But they are lethal, they do take things out very quickly, and you know, feeding them multiple mealworms now isn't an issue because they come out in force. I also just want to quickly say to all of you how much I appreciate all of the support I've got from you, my members, my patrons, everyone. You guys keep me going, and by the time this video is actually out, I think I'll be at 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane because when I initially made this channel, I literally did it to document things for myself, and the amount of support I got was unbelievable, and you know, you guys keep me going. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of you supporters, all the people who keep coming back, the new people. I love you all to pieces, and I really, really appreciate all of you. And you know, you have no idea how much you've motivated me to try and keep content going despite being so busy. But I literally just started out sharing knowledge. I then became part of this huge community of people who was also sharing knowledge to me, things that I had no idea about. And you know, it was just really, really nice. I felt so welcomed. Everyone's awesome, and I couldn't be more grateful for the people who surround me every single day and keeping me motivated, and you guys as well, especially the viewers, everybody. Honestly, I can't thank you all enough. So you know, that was about it really. I just wanted to make sure I thanked you all, because for me this is actually, it really is awesome to be at 2,000 subscribers. And yeah, I love you all to pieces. Remember to check out my store if you haven't yet, and also at the same time join my Discord server where there's a huge community of people over there chatting daily, not just about ants but all sorts of different animals and how to keep them. If you have liked the video, then remember to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon so you get all the notifications. But as always from me, peace and love, I'm out.